Imagine this. It's your wedding anniversary. You stop by the flower shop, pick out roses, buy a beautiful necklace with "always" engraved on it. You're smiling as you walk up to your front door, ready to surprise the love of your life. The doorbell camera captures this perfect moment, a husband coming home to celebrate 9 years of marriage. But what that same camera didn't capture was what his wife had been planning for weeks. What it couldn't record were the secret messages, the hidden bank accounts, and the gun she bought just 24 hours earlier. This is the story of Deshaun Jackson, a man who thought he was walking into an anniversary celebration, but instead walked into the final moments of his life. A case where love turned deadly, where technology revealed the truth, and where a single audio recording would expose a web of lies that shocked everyone who heard it. Before we dive into this case, let us know in the comments, what's your initial reaction to this story? And don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our True Crime Journal family around the world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We bring you the most compelling true crime cases every week, with all the evidence and details that matter. Deshaun Jackson was 35 years old. Born and raised in Houston's historic Third Ward, a neighborhood that had shaped him into the man he became. He lived in a small brick house on Magnolia Street, just 3 blocks from where his grandmother had raised him after his parents died in a car accident when he was 12. The house wasn't much to look at from the outside: faded red brick, a small front porch with 2 plastic chairs, and a chain-link fence surrounding a tiny yard. But Deshaun had worked 2 jobs for 5 years to buy it, and he was proud of every square foot. Neighbors described him as the kind of man who kept his grass cut, always waved when you passed by, and never caused any trouble. Deshaun's daily routine was like clockwork. Every weekday morning at 5:15 a.m., his alarm would go off. By 5:45, he was dressed in his Houston ISD uniform, navy blue pants and a light blue shirt with his name embroidered on the pocket. He'd make coffee in the same chipped mug he'd had since college, grab the lunch he'd packed the night before, and head out to bus number 47. His route covered 12 miles through the south side of Houston. Starting at Calhoun Elementary, he'd wind through neighborhoods of modest homes, apartment complexes, and corner stores. 43 kids rode his bus on any given day, from kindergartners clutching their backpacks to 8th graders trying to look too cool to care. The kids loved Mr. Deshaun. He knew all their names, asked about their school projects, and kept a small cooler of juice boxes for the younger ones who forgot their snacks. When little Amari Johnson lost his first tooth on the bus, Deshaun pulled over, helped him clean up, and made sure the tooth fairy wouldn't miss him. When teenage Marcus Williams was getting picked on at school, Deshaun would make sure to catch his eye in the rearview mirror every morning and give him an encouraging nod. Deshaun was never late. In 7 years of driving for Houston ISD, he had a perfect attendance record and 0 safety violations. His supervisor would later testify that Deshaun Jackson was the kind of employee you never had to worry about. After finishing his morning route, Deshaun would grab a quick breakfast, usually a breakfast taco from Rose's on Scott Street, before heading to his second job at Pristine Auto Detailing. The shop sat on a busy corner near Hobby Airport, where the sound of planes taking off mixed with the hum of vacuum cleaners and pressure washers. Deshaun took pride in his detailing work. While other guys might rush through a car wash in 30 minutes, Deshaun would spend an hour making sure every surface was perfect. He'd get down on his hands and knees to scrub floor mats, use a toothbrush to clean around cup holders, and wouldn't let a car leave until he could see his reflection in the paint. The pay wasn't great, $12 an hour at the detailing shop, but Deshaun never complained. Every dollar went toward taking care of his family and keeping up with the house payments. Deshaun had one child who meant everything to him, 7-year-old Zion Jackson. The boy had his father's bright smile and his mother's curious eyes. Zion was in 2nd grade at Calhoun Elementary, the same school where Deshaun's bus route began each morning. Every day after school, Zion would wait by the front office until his dad's bus pulled up. Then he'd climb aboard and ride shotgun for the rest of the afternoon route, helping Deshaun check off names and make sure the younger kids got to their stops safely. The other drivers called Zion "Little Co-Pilot," and the kids on the bus treated him like a celebrity. Deshaun was known to skip lunch at the detailing shop so he could bring home small surprises for Zion: a candy bar, a small toy from the dollar store, or a comic book from the gas station. His coworkers described him as the kind of man who would eat a peanut butter sandwich every day if it meant his son could have something special. He rarely drank, maybe a beer while watching the Texans on Sunday, but that was about it. He had no criminal record, not even a speeding ticket. Neighbors said they'd never heard him raise his voice, even when teenage kids would cut through his yard or when his neighbor's dog would bark all night. Deshaun was just steady, said Mrs. Patricia Williams, who lived next door for 6 years. Every morning, same time, there he'd go to work. Every evening, same time, there he'd come home. Some people might call it boring, but I called it dependable. Kendra Jackson, 33, was a different kind of person entirely. Where Deshaun was steady and predictable, Kendra was restless and ambitious. She had dreams that stretched far beyond the Third Ward, far beyond Houston, and increasingly, far beyond her marriage. Kendra owned and operated Blessed Hands Hair Studio on Alameda Road, a small salon in a strip mall between a nail shop and a seafood restaurant. She built the business from nothing, starting out doing hair in her kitchen 5 years earlier. The salon had 4 chairs, bright pink walls covered with before and after photos, and a small retail section selling hair products and jewelry. Kendra was talented, there was no denying that. She could transform a client's look completely, and her Instagram page was filled with stunning makeovers that drew customers from across the city. She specialized in protective styles, hair color, and extensions that made women feel like new people when they walked out her door. But success in the hair business came with constant pressure. Rent on the salon space was $2,800 a month. Supplies, equipment, and insurance added another $1,500. Some months were good, wedding season, prom time, holidays. Other months were lean, and Kendra would stress about making ends meet. She was always talking about expanding, recalled Shanice Thompson, one of the stylists who rented a chair in Kendra's salon. Not just a bigger salon, but multiple locations. She'd show us pictures of salons in Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, fancy places with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. She'd say, "That's going to be us someday." But those dreams required money that Kendra didn't have. Deshaun's 2 jobs brought in about $45,000 a year combined. The salon made decent money, but it was inconsistent. Some weeks Kendra would clear $800. Other weeks, barely $200. Kendra's marriage to Deshaun had started strong. They'd met in 2013 at a church barbecue in the Third Ward. Deshaun was 24, working his first job at a different auto shop. Kendra was 22, fresh out of cosmetology school and doing hair out of her apartment. They married in 2015 in a small ceremony at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. The reception was held in the church fellowship hall, with Kendra's grandmother's pound cake for dessert and Deshaun's uncle's DJ setup for music. It wasn't fancy, but it was filled with love and hope for the future. Zion was born in 2016, and for a while, the family seemed to find their rhythm. Deshaun worked his 2 jobs, Kendra built her salon business, and they took turns caring for their son. Weekend family barbecues, trips to the zoo, birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese. From the outside, they looked like any other young family trying to make it. But somewhere along the way, things began to shift. Kendra started changing around 2022, Deshaun's sister Dana would later recall. She'd make comments about how other people lived, how other women's husbands made more money. She'd see someone post vacation pictures on social media and get this look in her eyes, like she was angry that it wasn't her. The breaking point seemed to come in late 2023. Kendra had been hoping to expand the salon, maybe open a second location. She'd found a perfect space in a trendy part of town, but the loan application was denied. The couple's credit wasn't strong enough, their income too inconsistent. She was devastated, Lisa Martinez, another stylist, remembered. She came to work the next day and just sat in her chair crying. She kept saying, "I can't live like this forever. I can't be stuck." That's when Kendra started staying late at the salon, claiming she needed to catch up on bookkeeping or deep clean the space. That's when she started talking about making connections and networking for the business. That's when she started meeting Tavon Brooks. Tavon Brooks was 36 years old, a Houston native with the kind of confidence that drew women's attention. He worked part-time as a personal trainer at several gyms around the city, never staying at one place long enough to be tied down. He rented a unit in a small apartment complex off Alameda Road, not far from Kendra's salon. Brooks had a record of minor arrests, petty theft as a teenager, a bar fight in his 20s, driving with a suspended license, but nothing that resulted in serious jail time. He was smooth-talking, ambitious, and always looking for his next opportunity. He met Kendra in January 2024 at a gas station near her salon. She was filling up her Honda Accord after a long day at work. looking frustrated as she watched the numbers climb on the pump. He approached her with an offer to help, claiming he had a discount card that would save her money. "You look like you work too hard for too little," he told her. "I bet you got big dreams stuck in a small situation." That line would later prove to be prophetic. Their relationship started as casual conversation, text about business ideas, calls about networking opportunities in Austin where Tavon claimed to have connections. But by February, the tone had shifted from professional to personal. Tavon was everything Deshawn wasn't. Where Deshawn was steady and predictable, Tavon was exciting and spontaneous. Where Deshawn talked about saving money and being responsible, Tavon talked about taking risks and chasing dreams. Where Deshawn was content with their modest life, Tavon promised Kendra the world. He made her feel like she deserved more. One of Kendra's salon employees would later testify. She'd come to work glowing after talking to him, like someone had finally told her she was special. But Tavon Brooks was not just a romantic distraction. He was a man with his own financial problems and his own dreams of a better life. And when he looked at Kendra Jackson, he didn't just see a beautiful woman trapped in a disappointing marriage. He saw an opportunity. Over a 6-week period from late January to early March 2024, Kendra Jackson and Tavon Brooks exchanged hundreds of messages through WhatsApp and regular text messaging. What started as flirtation gradually evolved into something much darker. On February 9, 2024, exactly 28 days before Deshawn Jackson would die, Kendra walked into the offices of Reliable Life Insurance and signed paperwork for a $250,000 life insurance policy on her husband. The insurance agent, Robert Kim, would later testify that Kendra seemed unusually focused on the policy's activation timeline. She asked multiple times when the coverage would begin, how quickly a claim could be processed, and what documentation would be needed, Kim recalled. "Most people buying life insurance ask about premiums and coverage details. Mrs. Jackson was focused on the payout process." The policy listed Deshawn's occupation as a school bus driver and noted no prior health conditions. It included a standard clause excluding payout in the event of death resulting from criminal activity by the insured, a detail that would later become crucial. 3 days after signing the insurance policy, on February 12, Kendra entered into a commercial lease agreement in Austin, Texas. The property was a small retail unit in a recently developed plaza, perfect for a hair salon. The leaseholder was listed as K. Jackson and T. Brooks, with Tavon Brooks signing as co-signer. The lease required a $10,000 deposit, which Kendra paid using money transferred from a new bank account she had opened 1 week prior. That account was funded with a $10,500 transfer from the joint checking account she shared with Deshawn, money he had earned from his 2 jobs, meant to support their family. Meanwhile, the digital messages between Kendra and Tavon were becoming increasingly specific about their plans. On February 28, Tavon wrote, "If you don't leave him, I will make a move." The phrase was cryptic, but Kendra's reply, sent 8 minutes later, was clear. "Let me handle it. I got this." By early March, their conversations had taken a chilling turn. On March 5th, in a voice message that would later be recovered from Tavon's phone backup, Kendra's voice could be heard saying, "It has to look like an accident or self-defense. That's the only way." On March 7th, just 1 day before the murder, another audio message captured Kendra saying, "I'll say he hit me. They'll believe it." But the most damning evidence of premeditation came from Kendra's actions on March 7th itself. GPS records from her Honda Accord showed that she left her salon at 11:15 a.m. and drove to Eddie's Pawn and Gun on South Loop East. Security footage from the pawn shop showed Kendra entering alone at 11:24 a.m. She spent less than 10 minutes inside, emerging with a small black case. She paid in cash, $320 for a used Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm pistol, the same weapon that would kill her husband less than 24 hours later. The pawn shop clerk, Miguel Santos, would later testify that Kendra seemed nervous but determined. She knew exactly what she wanted, he recalled. Most first-time gun buyers ask a lot of questions, want to see different options. She pointed to the Smith & Wesson, asked if it was reliable, paid cash, and left. After buying the gun, Kendra made one more stop, to a sporting goods store where she purchased a box of 9mm ammunition. The lot number on that ammunition would later match the casing found at the crime scene. On the morning of March 8th, the day of the murder, GPS records showed Kendra's car parked outside Tavon Brooks' apartment from 9:46 a.m. to 10:38 a.m. There was no record of any scheduled appointment or business meeting during that time. When later questioned about this visit, both Kendra and Tavon would claim they were discussing business opportunities. But phone records showed that Tavon's device was factory reset that same evening, just hours after Deshaun Jackson was found dead. The plan was in place. The weapon was purchased. The alibi was prepared. All that remained was for Deshaun Jackson to come home from work, excited to celebrate his 9th wedding anniversary with the woman he loved. March 8, 2024, started like any other day for Deshaun Jackson. His alarm went off at 5:15 a.m., and by 5:45, he was dressed in his Houston ISD uniform, ready to begin his morning bus route. But today was special. It was his 9th wedding anniversary. Deshaun had been planning this day for weeks, saving money from skipped lunches to buy the perfect gifts for Kendra. He was excited all week. His supervisor at Pristine Auto Detailing, Carlos Rodriguez, would later testify. Kept talking about their anniversary, asking us what we thought about the gifts he picked out. He had it all planned. Flowers, dinner, the works. Deshaun finished his detailing shift at 5:05 p.m. and made 2 carefully planned stops before heading home. His first stop was Petals and Stems, a small flower shop on Wheeler Avenue owned by an elderly Vietnamese couple. Deshaun had been coming there for special occasions since 2015. Mrs. Nguyen knew him by name and always saved her best roses for his visits. He very specific about the roses. Mrs. Nguyen would later tell investigators through a translator. Always red, never pink. Always ask for dozen, but want the biggest, most beautiful ones. He say, "These for my wife, she deserved the best." The shop's security camera captured Deshaun spending nearly 10 minutes carefully selecting each rose, asking Mrs. Nguyen to replace any that weren't perfect. He paid $47 in cash, money he'd been saving from skipping lunches all week. His second stop was at Treasure's Gift Boutique, a small store specializing in jewelry and personalized gifts. Deshaun had been making payments on a silver heart-shaped locket for 2 months, $25 down, then $15 a week until it was paid off. He was so proud of that necklace, store owner Jennifer Mills recalled. He must have asked me 5 times if the engraving looked right. Always, that's what he wanted on it. He said it represented his promise to always love her, no matter what. At 6:43 p.m., Deshaun pulled his 2018 Honda Civic into the driveway of 1247 Magnolia Street. He sat in the car for a moment, checking his appearance in the rearview mirror, smoothing down his work shirt, making sure he looked presentable for his wife. The Ring doorbell camera, purchased by Kendra 6 months earlier for security reasons, captured every detail of what happened next. In the footage, Deshaun looks genuinely happy. He's wearing his navy blue work pants and light blue shirt from the detailing shop, both slightly wrinkled from a day's work. He steps out of the car, carefully cradling the bouquet of red roses in his left arm. The white gift box is clutched in his right hand. As he approaches the front door, he pauses and catches his reflection in the Ring camera's lens. He uses his free hand to smooth his hair, then adjusts the roses to make sure they look perfect. The timestamp reads 6:43 and 17 seconds p.m. "Kendra, baby, I'm home," he calls out as he fumbles with his keys, his voice clear and cheerful through the camera's audio system. "Got something special for you." The sound of his key turning in the lock is audible on the recording. The door opens, and Deshaun Jackson steps inside his home for the last time. What that Ring camera captured was more than just a man arriving home. It was evidence of a husband's love, excitement, and complete trust in the woman who was about to kill him. On March 8, 2024, at 8:41 p.m., a single gunshot shattered the quiet of Magnolia Street in Houston. Within minutes, 3 911 calls brought police to 1247 Magnolia Street, where they found Kendra Jackson crying on the front porch. "He attacked me," she told Officer Chin through tears. "My husband Deshaun. He's in the bedroom. I think he's dead." Inside, Deshaun Jackson lay beside the bed, a dark stain across his work shirt. Red roses were scattered on the floor, stems broken. A white gift box containing a silver locket engraved "Always" sat unopened nearby. Kendra's story seemed straightforward. Deshaun came home angry on their anniversary, accused her of cheating, grabbed her, and when he raised his hand to hit her, she shot him in self-defense with a gun she bought the day before. But investigators noticed inconsistencies. The house was undisturbed except for the flowers. No neighbors heard arguing before the gunshot. Kendra had no visible injuries. The medical examiner found no defensive wounds on Deshaun and no substances that would cause aggression. Detective Lisa Rodriguez knew something was wrong. The crime scene showed a man shot at close range while calm and unsuspecting. No struggle, no overturned furniture, no defensive wounds. Digital evidence from Kendra's iPhone revealed the truth. Over 6 weeks before the murder, she'd exchanged increasingly intimate messages with Tavon Brooks, a personal trainer. The messages showed premeditation. February 28th, Tavon, if you don't leave him, I will make a move. Kendra, let me handle it. I got this. March 5th, Kendra. It has to look like self-defense. That's the only way. March 7th, Kendra, I'll say he hit me. They'll believe it. GPS data confirmed Kendra visited Tavon's apartment the morning of the murder, then returned home to wait for Deshaun. Forensic accountant Jennifer Chen uncovered a devastating timeline. February 9th, Kendra signs $250,000 life insurance policy on Deshaun. February 12th, signs Austin commercial lease with Tavon as co-signer. March 6th, transfers $3,500 from salon to personal account. March 7th, purchases murder weapon. March 8th, Deshaun is murdered. The insurance agent testified that Kendra focused on payout processes rather than coverage details, unusual behavior that raised red flags. 7 days after the murder, Detective Rodriguez found an Amazon Echo Dot on the bedroom nightstand. A warrant revealed it had captured a 26-second audio clip at 7:42 p.m., 1 hour before the 911 calls. The enhanced audio revealed Deshaun's voice, sad and disappointed. You're lying again, Kendra. I saw you with Tavon. Sounds of drawers opening, Kendra retrieving the gun. Kendra's cold response, you don't know what I've had to do. The distinctive click of a gun safety being disengaged. This recording destroyed Kendra's self-defense claim, proving Deshaun wasn't violent or threatening when she prepared to shoot him. Kendra was arrested at her salon on March 21st and charged with first-degree murder, insurance fraud, and filing false reports. Tavon Brooks wasn't charged due to insufficient evidence of direct participation. The trial began April 1st, 2024. Prosecutor Maria Santos presented overwhelming evidence of premeditation. The defense argued psychological abuse, but the evidence was devastating. Digital messages planning the murder, financial preparation for life after Deshaun's death. Ring camera showing Deshaun arriving home lovingly with anniversary gifts and echo recording proving he wasn't threatening when shot. When Kendra testified in her own defense, she had no credible explanations for the evidence against her. On April 9th, after 9 hours of deliberation, the jury found Kendra Jackson guilty on all charges. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Deshaun's mother told reporters, "My son was a good man who just wanted to love his family. That woman took him away from us and from his little boy." 7-year-old Zion was awarded to Deshaun's sister Dana. Tavon Brooks moved to Dallas and was never charged. The house was sold after the trial. Deshaun Jackson wasn't an abusive husband. He was a hard-working father who drove a school bus and detailed cars to support his family. He came home with anniversary roses and an always necklace, captured on Ring camera at 6:43 p.m., 77 minutes before his death. Kendra Jackson wasn't a battered wife acting in self-defense. She was a calculating killer who saw her husband as an obstacle to her new life with Tavon Brooks. Technology revealed the truth. Phone messages, GPS data, Ring camera footage, and the Echo Dot recording all exposed her lies. The roses Deshaun brought lay crushed on the bedroom floor, and his anniversary gift remained unopened beside his body. Symbols of love destroyed by betrayal and calculated murder. The case stands as a chilling reminder that domestic violence claims can be manipulated to cover premeditated murder, and that in the digital age, our own devices can become witnesses to the truth.